I don't know what I did. I don't know what led me to this point of my life where I just randomly decided to reorganize my bookshelves. See the piles of books that are behind me. I'm literally sitting on books currently. I've been doing this for hours. I'm so sweaty. I'm so gross. I'm so thirsty because I could not figure out what I wanted to do. This is terrible framing too, but without sitting on more books, I don't think it can get much better. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my bookshelves, so I spent hours just like reorganizing them, moving them around just to get a layout that like kind of worked for me. I hate that this thing doesn't match, but it is what it is, and that's one day I'll have all matching bookshelves and things will work out that way. I don't really know what to show you in this, but we're just gonna start putting books back and hoping I like it. I have no order for my bookshelves. I mostly just go off vibe. Normally genres together, but mostly just vibe. And I'm thinking because I don't own a lot of hardcovers, all my hardcovers will go in this and I'll kind of act like this shelf is a lot more like decoration. I'm going to try to make it like look less like bookshelfy and more like a shelf with like some plants and things like that is kind of the goal, I think, with books as well, since it's kind of a weird shelf. But we'll see. I'm just going to start going, so wish me luck. I just put everything roughly in like where I think it's gonna go, or like with the same size books, because I do often go by like size and a little bit of color, also vibes. It's just like, it just makes sense to me where my books go, but probably not to anyone else. But I just have things like sorted in here. That's all my sci-fis, just like based on vibes where I think it's gonna go. And now we're just gonna start organizing. It's the next day and it's all done. If you can see behind me, I think I was successful in making a good spot to film videos in. I'm really liking the vibe. You actually get to see like my taste in books in this spot now instead of just me. And so I'm very excited. I just went through and filmed every little row for you so that we would kind of have like a bookshelf tour going on. And we're gonna go over that now. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. So we're gonna start over in the sci-fi horror bookshelf. This is just like a smaller bookshelf, and this bookshelf has a lot of room for me to grow in, which I really like. So the first top row is the sci-fi books that I own, and I had to put the rabbits cover face out because I'm obsessed with it. I don't know why, but I love the aesthetic of that book. And then it just continues on until the next row, which is the bottom, which is horror. I do have Into the Drowning Deep on there, as I think it does kind of play sci-fi and horror. I thought it was a good like blend in. And then the bottom shelf right now has all my mass market paperbacks, and they're not organized at all because my plan is to actually put those in the cubby behind my door in my bedroom because it fits books really well, and like I have nothing else to go there currently, but I figured I'd leave them here until I need that spot. And then we have the middle shelf, which is obviously a different color. Hopefully one day I'll have matching bookshelves, but at this moment in time I don't. And this one is a corner shelf thing, and I don't really like the way books normally look in it, so I decided to make it more of like pretty and go for more like decor vibes. So I did all my hardcovers, since I don't own a lot of hardcovers, and I made those kind of like spotlight pieces, and I think it turned out really good actually. I'm really enjoying the way it looks, and so you can just get a little view of that. And then we move on to these good old boys behind me, which is where the majority of my books are and all my fantasy books. And we start at the top, and I used the top row, like the top of the shelf, as a bookshelf. I think it looks really nice up there, especially because like the shelves on either side of these two books are a row taller, so I thought it looked really nice. Up top we have my indies that are smaller. I like my books to go by size more than anything. I mean, there was a little bit more organization that happened in this than I planned on, but normally by size. So we have the indies that are shorter and all together. And then directly under that, we have the tall, floppy indies. These look pretty. I need more of them. And then from there, we have a plant that separates them. And then we kind of have my miscellaneous books. So these are a lot of the YA I love, but also some of the random books that don't have a spot in my bookshelf because they're just like not fantasy, horror, or sci-fi. So they're there. I'm gonna go like shelf 1 and shelf 2 at the same height. I think that that's how it flows and like looks on the bookshelf, and kind of how I flowed with it. So I think that works the best way. So the next shelf down is my tall floppy paperbacks on both sides, and I originally had these looking completely different, but I decided to go by publisher because I love the way the Orbit books look with all of them together and like the little Orbit symbol. I love Orbit books so much, and I have a lot of them. So we have like the more colorful ones on the first shelf, and we have Ashes of the Sun obviously up front because I love the cover and I love the series, so it needed to be done. And it kind of flows really nicely, I think personally, especially with the end being the Pariah and then the Martyr, because it's like black and then white, and then we flow into John Gwyn's shelf. He has his own shelf pretty much, which starts with like a lot of white. The blade itself is also on there, as I thought it looked pretty nice over there, and it is an Orbit book. And then we drop down, and the next one you see is Tor. I had a decent amount of Tor floppy oversized paperbacks, and a lot of them have like the shininess to them, so I thought they looked good together. I love the look of the Sandersons with the Jen Lyons. I feel like they flow really nicely. They have like same vibes. And then we also have the Spine of the Dragon, and I have my 2 Wheel of Time books that I currently own there as well, as they are Tor. And then next to that is just like my miscellaneous oversized books. There is one Orbit book in there because I just didn't like the way it looked on the other shelves. I hate the covers of that series so much that I honestly almost hid that in the bottom shelf. Felt like I kind of made it work. I'm not in love with this shelf and this vibe of the shelf. It's just kind of like what was left over, but it works for now. One day I'll figure something else out that's better, I think. And there's also a Tor book over there, but I don't like the way that one looked on this shelf either. Then we drop down and we have Realm of the Elderlings, and this is very different for me because the Realm of the Elderlings books have always been at the top shelf of my bookshelf so that I could stare at them very easily. Because I went very heavily on size of the book. This is a smaller shelf in like height, and I felt like these smaller books looked really nice on there. So we have all of the Realm of the Elderlings in there that I own. I actually don't own them all because I realized I was running out of bookshelf space, and I listen to the audiobooks anyways, so one day I will have them when I have enough room. We also have Warbreaker in there because it's a UK paperback and it fits really nicely with all of those. I feel like it matches the aesthetic. Right after that, we go into my normal sized paperbacks that I own. There wasn't really, this is literally vibes. I started with Nevernight because it matched like the color scheme of Realm of the Elderlings, and then I kind of just flowed from there, and what we ended up with I really like. I like kind of like the vibe going on, and then we also do have a lot of the Orbit books together in that with the Raven Tower all the way to like the Crimson Campaigns. These just went through vibes. That's pretty much it. What I thought looked nice on the shelf and like size. And then we drop down to like my two random small little shelves that I put like horizontal books on. These are really just books that didn't fit elsewhere. Didn't really know where to put them. And then we drop down one more time and we just have my regular sized paperbacks again. And this I did try to go a little bit by publisher. So the first one is kind of my miscellaneous publishers and books that like I didn't really care as much about. The Greatcoats are down there and I love the Greatcoat series, but it irks the living heck out of me that they do not match in size, as I obviously organize my bookshelves by size. So I actually plan on, when I finish reading them, unhauling that series because I just hide it on my bookshelves because it irks me so much that they do not match, no matter how much I love it. So that will be a series that does not stay. And then the last shelf that we see is the small paperbacks again, and I think all of these are Orbit. I own a lot of Orbit books. A lot. I also forgot to tell you about a shelf. I just realized. So we're gonna go over that. Right up at the top, under like the first shelf up here, like above this shelf, we have a whole other shelf that I didn't tell you about. This one is also just like vibes and size. So this is just my regular sized paperbacks, and I went with like series I love or covers I love, spines I love. So it does have the Red Queen Quartet, which is the first time I think it has been unhidden on my bookshelf. Normally I have a YA shelf just at the bottom and I shove all my YA books in there, but I didn't do that this time and I just kind of went with vibes, and I'm really liking it. And then yeah, we have the newest favorite of mine up there, which is Fireborn and Flamefall as well, and they have a cover out. Yeah, I'm really liking the way this looks. I'm really excited to start filming in front of it, and it just makes me happy looking at all my books. It really does. Behind you, right now behind you, on the floor, I have a giant pile of books that I've unhauled throughout this process. So coming to you either before this video or right after this video, there will be an unhaul coming to my channel, and I'm really excited to give these books away. It made me have so much room. Like you guys saw it, I have pretty much whole shelves down there that need books. And I have so many books like faced out. I have so much room now with how I'm sitting and I'm loving it. So I'm gonna try not to fill it up really quickly though. I am kind of trying to be a little bit more picky. I realized when going through my shelves, I unhauled a lot of books that I just randomly picked up in the bookstore with no like previous knowledge of them. Like most of them were cover buys or like instant buys, just like I wanted instant gratification from book shopping, and I really want to stop doing that. There's no reason to have those. I can like look them up, look up reviews before I buy them. So we're gonna try and be better about that. I don't need to be wasting my money so much, and it seems like I have been lately. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching this little mess of a project that started because of Lexi. Thanks Lexi, but I'm loving it so far. It's looking good. So anyways, if you made it to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a rabbit emoji. I'm staring at rabbits. And then if you have a favorite bookshelf that you saw, like a favorite shelf, let me know. This one is definitely my favorite. I just love it. I just love the vibes. And then if you want to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon, all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.